Most companies spend a lot of time thinking about how to beat the competition, but our next guest doesn't think that's time well spent. Back in 2005, Renee Mauborgne and Chan Kim released a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which, there you go. Oh no, that's the new book that we're showing on the screen. But Blue Ocean Strategy, which argues that if you follow certain steps, competition, well, it's gonna be irrelevant. Now, though, they've come out with a follow-up book called Blue Ocean Shift. That's the one we're showing you on the screen. And joining us is co-author Renee Mauborgne. Renee, we're happy to have you down here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Blue Ocean Strategy, now Blue Ocean Shift. What is the shift that's taking place between the first book and the current book?
Sure. So the first book came out and we said that there are existing markets and new markets, red oceans and blue oceans. And everyone got inspired by that idea. And then the next question came up, okay, I want to get to the blue, but how do I do it? How do I put my team together? How do I start the process? How do I create new possibilities where all I see is constraints? So we spent the last decade working with companies around the world, startups, established companies, companies on Main Street, to put these ideas in practice to find out what works and what doesn't. And so our new book, Blue Ocean Shift, lays out the roadmap anyone can follow to move into these blue oceans.
So let's talk about some of these companies that over the last decade have found new markets. What's the best example?
Well, I can give you one in New York. It's called Citizen M. It's a hotel chain. Instead of going head-to-head against established players, that's a bloody red ocean, they applied the tools and processes in the book, and they create a whole new market called affordable luxury. And that's 5-star comfort at 3-star prices. And who doesn't want that? And what do they have today? 80% occupancy rates, 80% higher than the industry average. Guest satisfaction, fabulous and superb. And a cost structure 40% lower than the industry average. So they're rolling out a whole new market. They don't compete with anyone. And they're in Times Square in New York.
Let's talk a little bit about social media, because that's something that a lot of us millennials can relate to. Specifically, when you think about social media, you got to think about Twitter, CEO Jack Dorsey. I mean, what is it about his company that went from a red ocean to a blue ocean?
So Jack Dorsey, if you look at Square was, he's part of our research. He's one of the companies in our book. And he has a blue ocean mindset all the time. So he creates Twitter, that opens up a blue ocean. Then he moves into and he sees all credit card companies are all competing to do the transaction between the individual and the large or medium-sized company. He said, well, wait a minute, how do I pay my gardener? How do I pay my babysitter? What can I do? He sees those are actually more transactions occurring than that, and he creates a Square reader, and that's what he's all about.
And of course, now you have all those other companies, those bigger companies, trying to catch up to what he's
They're trying to catch up, but if you look at it, like, one of our original companies is like Home Depot. They just had their best quarter ever. So, you might think when you create a blue ocean, it's easy to imitate, but actually it takes far longer than what you think. So Citizen M today, that hotel chain I mentioned, they're rolling out around the world today. Their first hotel was in 2009. They just opened, I think, 2 or 3 in Paris. They're in London, New York, they're going to Asia. It's not that easy, actually. So they have a long runway, too.
Well, let's talk about Wawa, because that's an example you highlight in the book. And we have to bring that up because our colleague Brad is from Pennsylvania, and he will always talk about Wawa.
People from Pennsylvania, only found out about Wawa in college.
Yeah,
I'm from the South,
I didn't even find out about it until like 5 years ago. People love Wawa, but this is essentially a gas station that is now a convenience store as well. It doesn't sound that innovative.
Yeah. So what Wawa did is, Wawa is one of the companies in the book, Blue Ocean Shift, and what they found is they've always been a blue ocean company. They're the first ones to put gas, food, and convenience all together. So people are gaga for Wawa. But after the 2008-2009 collapse that we had in the market, they started finding people were competing against them, starting to go into that red ocean. They applied the tools and process we lay out in the book. And what they did is they saw in their offering, food was the weakest, because no one goes to a gas station to buy good quality food.
Right.
And they saw the upside. They did it. They totally reinvented their food offering. And today they sell more food per store than McDonald's does.
Wow.
Any one of them. And now they're not known as a gas station that sells food. They're known as a quick service restaurant that also has gas and convenience items. So it's a powerful story, powerful story. And that company, by the way, is over 100 years old. And if they can do it as a 100-year-old company, and what I'm excited about is for millennials, we all want to create new companies, right? And the question is, we don't want to go head-to-head with established rivals because we're not going to compete. The odds of winning today, or they say 8 or 9 fail out of 10 of new ventures. And our book is about how do I, for millennials or anyone, flip the odds so it's 8 or 9 succeed. And so the book shows all the examples of companies in all sectors that applied it to create these blue oceans.
Renee, I like what you said earlier, that especially when you talk about Jack Dorsey, he always had a blue ocean mindset.
Yes.
how do you get to the blue ocean mindset if you don't already have it?
Well, you read the book, right? So what is a blue ocean mindset? So one thing is don't take industry conditions for granted. The second you do, most industries aren't attractive. You hitch yourself to existing industry which has no prospects. What are your prospects? They go down. What we need to realize is that every single day, companies are making and shaping industries like DORSEY does. And when you realize that you can make and shape an industry, you take the levers of control from the power of the industry and you put them back in yourself. And you realize industries are as exciting or as disappointing as the actions we take. Do like Warby Parker did, right? Young people started that company. Do something exciting, break out of what all eyeglass companies do, and I open up a new market space. So that's what it's all about.
I wanted to ask about
Shake
Warby Parker.
Shack's doing that in hamburgers right now too. Shake Shack, right? They've got lines where everyone else is down.
But if you're a Warby Parker a decade ago and you're Neil Blumenthal and you're looking at the eyeglass market and you see that it's the vast majority of it is controlled by Luxottica, one company, how do you go after those new customers without being intimidated by an incumbent?
Yeah. So first of all, you don't go after them, right? So you don't play the game, go into the red ocean that Luxottica is, especially when you're starting your company, you have less resources. So what you want to look at are all the points, it's one of the steps in it, of friction and the pain points in an industry, and start to open that up. And he started seeing, look, average eyeglass, most people can't even afford them, right? So they affordable, people care about a social mission. So you start to redefine it. And in the book, we give 6 different ways to create new markets, and they followed one of those. So you really want to, the book is about show me how to look at constraints and see opportunities, but you definitely don't want to go head to head. Yeah.
Right.
Probably a losing strategy. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Very excited